Hello everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be doing Common Vulnerability Scoring System Deep Dive. What is CVSS? The Common Vulnerability Scoring System is an open source standard for assembling the severity of vulnerabilities. Developed by First Forum of Incident Response and Security Teams, it provides a numerical score 0 to 10 to represent the risk posed by a vulnerability. It provides the score 0 to 10 to represent the risk posed by vulnerability, helping analysts prioritize mitigation. So if it's high, you're really going to want to get everybody and get working on it as fast as possible, right? Very bad when you have like a 9.8, stuff like that. Anything above a 5, even a 5 is bad, right? Standardized scoring enables consistent risk assessment across organizations. Prioritize helps focus remediation on the most critical vulnerabilities. Communication provides a common language for security teams, vendors, and stakeholders. CySA Plus relevance, essential for vulnerability management and incident response. We have the versions, some are older, some are newer, right? The 3.1 is the focus for CySA Plus, right? And then we have 4.0, which isn't really yet being used for CySA Plus, but now we're really just on V 3.1. And this video is going to focus on 3.1 because it's going to be the one that CySA Plus is going to want you to know a little bit better, right? So it's an enhanced version, right? Enhanced metrics that just add more complexity. And for CySA Plus, you're perfectly fine just knowing 3.1. CVSS 3.1 scoring components. We have base, metric groups. Scores are calculated using 3 metric groups: base, temporal, and environmental. Let's break them down. Base metrics, purpose, reflect the intrinsic characteristics of a vulnerability. Subscores, exploitability metrics, how easily the vulnerability can be exploited. Attack vector, physical location, adjacent network or network remote. Attack complexity, which is your AC value, right? Low, easy, or high difficult. Privileges required, none, low, or high. That's privilege escalation, right? You're trying to get those most privileges, right? User interaction, none are required. Is this a vulnerability that a user does not have to interact with something for it to be triggered? Or can you just trigger it at any time, right? Which would be very bad if someone could just go in there and click whatever button they want. They wouldn't even have to click a button, right? User interaction means you have to click something, you have to do something. If it doesn't need that, that means that someone can just inject and put a backdoor and be like, ooh, we got a backdoor, we can do whatever we want now. Impact metrics, potential damage if exploited, confidentiality, non, low, or high. That's basically the CIA triad, you had to know that for the Security Plus, right? If you did not know CIA on the Security Plus, you probably would have failed the test, right? But confidentiality is very important, like how hidden is the data, how confidential is the data, right? So you want to implement more encryption, stuff like that. Integrity is like hashing, stuff like that. File integrity monitoring, you think about that stuff when you think integrity. Availability is like services based. Like I think about, just because I think about it, but I think about like ambulances, stuff like that have to have certain things and they have to be available, right? I think about like an ambulance, they have to have like a lot of different things available, and if they don't have like a thing, like we have 911, right? And with 911, if that number isn't available at any time, people could be getting hurt, right? I don't know. People could be getting hurt. But just think about that availability. Are the phone systems available for ambulances, stuff like that? We have base score, which is 0 to 10, derived from exploitability, and impact subscores. Example, a remotely exploitable vulnerability. We have AV, AC, we have PR, and we have user interaction, none. Because the user didn't have to click on anything for this vulnerability to be executed. So the user interaction is none. Then we have the 9.8 because remote code execution is usually a 9.8 because it's very, very bad. If anyone can just remote control your computer, that's pretty messed up. And it's not like a rat or a backdoor, it's a problem with the code. APIs, stuff like that that allows you to have these 0-day vulnerabilities that just can affect everything, right? And this channel is ethical, right? Purpose, reflect the current state of the vulnerability. Metrics, exploit code maturity. Unproven proof of concept, functional or high. Then we have remediation level, not defined, unavailable, workaround, and temporary fix or official fix. Report confidence, not defined, unknown, reasonable, or confirmed. Temporal score adjusts the base score based on exploit availability and fixes. Typically, lowers the score if mitigation exists. Example, a vulnerability with a functional exploit, functional but an official patch, RL official fix may reduce the score slightly. Environmental metrics is customize the score based on the organization's environment. We have security requirements, confidentiality, integrity, availability, low, medium, or high. And it's going to be really high if you're in healthcare, payment card, any banks, any financial sectors, any government, any FBI. It's going to be very high on that confidentiality, or even if you're just a business that needs to be secured because you've experienced cyber attacks in the past. Any business that could apply to, right? Modified base metrics adjust base metrics based on specific mitigations, network controls. Environmental score tailors the score to reflect the organization's asset criticality and existing controls. When I think environmental, I think, how is the environment? How easily are you of a target, right? That's what I think when I think environmental. How easy of you are you a target, right? And that would sum up your score. If you're a really, really good target, then you're going to have a higher score, which means that CVSS score is going to go up. So then we have CVSS scoring ranges. The CVSS V3.1 score, 0 to 10, maps to severity levels. So say that you're just a 4.0. Say that you have a 3.0. That could bump you up to a 4.0, a medium, in a matter of seconds. So you have a really, really, you have a very good chance of getting attacked frequently, right? Because you're an easier target. Versus if you made yourself a harder target, you could go down to 0.1, 3.9, 0. And 0 day exploits are just going up to those 9 to 10s, right? Because they're the most critical. 0 days are most critical, right? Calculating a CVSS score. The CVSS score is calculated using formula defined by first. But for CySA Plus, you don't need to memorize it. Instead, focus on understanding how metrics influence the score. Tools like CVSS Calculator, available on first.org, automate this process. I want to actually look at that. That sounds neat. Let's go to that. This is actually a really nice looking website. I'm not going to lie. This is a nice website. Where is that calculator? IR database. But this is a really well thought out website. But they apparently have a CVSS calculator. I couldn't find it. But for vulnerability, we have all these examples, right? And these are their scores based on these metrics. So this is getting a 9.8. I would assume because of all these high values on full data access, high data tampering if possible. We have used the first calculator or a tool like Nessus to generate scores. We have Nessus CLI, scan run -- policy, web server scan -- targets, and your local web server. I have no idea how this would give you a score, but I ran Nessus or some type of hardening thing, right, to harden your computer. And it just showed me so much vulnerabilities that were in my system, right? Settings I needed to change to make it more secure. And I'm like, that is a lot of stuff I'd have to change in settings on this Linux machine, right? So out of the box, it wasn't very secure, right? My Kali Purple machine wasn't very secure. Applying common vulnerability scoring system and vulnerability management. Prioritization, focus on vulnerabilities with high or critical scores, 7 to 10. Prioritize based on environmental scores for critical assets. Remediation planning, apply patches for vulnerabilities with official fixes. Deploy workarounds for unpatched issues. So we're using IP tables again, but like I said, NF tables is the new thing, right? Everybody's using it now. Not everybody, but IP tables is more of a legacy firewall management tool. NF tables is so much better, right? So much more settings and stuff that you can configure, right? Use CVSS scores and reports to communicate risks to stakeholders. Splunk query to report critical vulnerabilities. Tools for CVSS scoring. We have Nessus, Qualies. I don't know what Qualies is. I'm going to look it up. Everything is using Agent AI, right? But it looks like this one is actually pretty good too. They're using 6 Sigma. Wow, their program can actually eliminate false positives once and for all. Qualities consistently exceed 6 sigma. 99.9999666. Accuracy, the industry standard for high quality. That is insane. Literally, like, this program can, like, exceed 6 sigma. And 6 sigma is the standard. Then we have compliance. Stay audit ready always. They ensure the compliance while reducing risk, including regulatory directives such as PCI, DSS 4.0, HIPAA, and CIS, and more. They drastically reduce the cost. Because thinking, you're implementing this system that goes in and does all this for you, which you're still going to have to do a lot of setup, but I feel like it would still be a good platform to get. They even have agentic A. They have Kubernetes container security. They have cloud infrastructure and entitlement, and they have total cloud. They have true risk eliminate, total AI. They're using AI now for vulnerability and configuration management. We have risk operation center with agentic AI, enterprise true risk management, and policy audit. I just want to look at that total AI for vulnerability and configuration management. So what does it do? Qualities total AI dashboards. Prevent model thefts, managing cyber risk of your AI and LLM workloads. Access LLMs and be audit and compliance ready. That is insane. That is insane that you can have all of this with threat management for your AI tools, right? That is actually insane. I'm not going to lie. We also have policy audit, but, you know, you're going to be 70% right for that specific person, right? Actually pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. We have this new one right here, true risk eliminate. Isolate, mitigate, and remediate to eliminate cyber risk. So what's the key thing that this does? So it isolates, mitigates, and remediates to eliminate cyber risk. Basically, patch management. I mean, it's really going to be doing patch management, stuff like that, which is insane that it could literally go through and patch all your systems if you set it up correct. So then we're going to talk about the Kubernetes one, right? I want to see a little bit more about it. I've never heard of it. So it's called Kubernetes and Container Security, KCS. So we have basically, from what I can see here, is there's an AI diagram right here that has your internet coming in, load balancer, to your K8S service, to your K8S pod. I'm assuming they're using N8N, right? N8N is basically how you create these AI agents, right? You have KBS service, and then you have your container up here. To that IAM role with the cross account. So they have this account over here that you have keys that you can use to access that account. Then you have the IAM role. And this role has specific settings that allowing it to do certain things. And it's actually finding vulnerabilities inside the container itself, basically. Or with your configuration that you have here, your infrastructure right here. Just thinking about that, that is actually crazy. Build, scan your deploy developments, build, bring rich vulnerability and risk prioritization, context to your developers with QScanner, a self-serve CLI tool that can be integrated into any development, build including GitHub Actions, Jenkins, and more. Blocker audit insecure image builds with rich exception management. For store, secure your image artifacts. Scan any Docker v2 compliant registry, including JFrog. And I'm not going to read through all these, but just know their things: build, store, deploy, right? And the main thing is to help you secure containers for this one. So that's going to be it for all of that. But Qualies looks like a really legit solution if you're willing to shell out the money for their services. And I mean, it looks really professional, high quality. And I'm not being paid to say any of this, but you know, I mean, with all the stuff that they're like having, like that container security, I feel like it could be a good option for some people that have money, right, already. Best practices for common vulnerability scoring system scoring. Understand metrics. Know how attack vector, impact, and exploitability affect scores. Customize environmental scores. Adjust scores based on asset criticality and existing controls. Integrate threat intelligence. Use feed, CySA, MITRE to access exploit code maturity. Regular rescan. Verify remediation with follow-up scans to update common vulnerability system scoring. Common vulnerability scoring system scores. Communicate clearly. Translate CVSS scores into business impact for non-technical stakeholders. Challenges in CVSS scoring. Subjectivity, environmental metrics, depends on organizational context. Dynamic threats, scores may change as exploits become available. False positives, scanners may misjudge severity requiring manual validation. And even though Quali said that it was like 99.999, you probably have to be using their specific, what is it called? Signatures or whatever it is that actually goes into text so that it'll be able to be tuned correctly, right? But it has to be tuned for your system. So that 99.9998 may not be right for some people, but once you get it tuned up, I'm sure that their scores wouldn't lie, right? Then we have dynamic threats. Scores may change as exploits become available. False positives, scanners may misjudge severity, requiring manual validation. Limited scope, CVSS doesn't account for changed vulnerabilities or business impact. Sounds like I'm going to be saying, here's a workflow for handling a vulnerability using common vulnerability system scoring. Scan and identify. Run a quality scan to detect common vulnerability enumeration. Access content. Confirm the vulnerability affects a critical database server. Prioritize. Mark as a critical due to high score and asset important. Remediate. Apply a patch sudo yum update -- security. Add your compensating control with IP tables, or the newest one is NF tables, I believe. I have to say that now because I've put IP tables here a lot, but verify and report. Rescan with qualities to confirm remediation. Report to management using a Splunk dashboard. Index, right? Report to management using a Splunk dashboard. CySA Plus exam tips for the CompTIA CySA Plus exam. Understand the CVSS v3.1 base, temporal and environmental metrics. Know how to interpret severity levels, low, medium, high, critical. Be familiar with tools like Nessus and qualities for CVSS scoring. Explain how CVSS supports vulnerability prioritization and remediation. Practice analyzing CVSS scores in a sample scan reports. Just know that common vulnerability system, scoring system, is vital for prioritizing vulnerabilities and enabling cybersecurity analysts to focus on the most critical risk. And it's just really important that you know it for the CySA Plus and in real-world skills that will use common vulnerability enumeration. So thank you everybody for watching this video, this YouTube video.